They call me Dan, the Lakers fan. And I got a master plan for the Lakers back to the promised land. Spread the vision through my people, cause we fans are equal. When we reach 20K subs, yeah, we gon' drop a sequel. Another Laker anthem track, watch me run it back. Got the keys to the city where my Laker jet.
Laker family, it's your boy Dtlf back with another video. And yes, you guys read the title right. Today, I'm going to be talking about contenders, pretenders, and risers. But I'm not alone today. All right. I got one of the hottest names out there in the market right now, man. Rookie of the year. He's phenomenal. You wouldn't tell he's a rookie, though, as far as podcasting goes. This dude actually has the knowledge of a superstar. My good friend and co-host to Around the League, Empire Jeff. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Dan? You're far too kind. That was a hell of an intro. Thank you,
man. Hey, listen, man, you deserve all the praise, brother. You've been doing phenomenal things this summer and beyond, and very excited, man. Let's talk some basketball. How you feeling about? You've been watching some football this weekend?
Yeah. My team got absolutely waxed on trying to New York had a bad opening weekend, man. Just other than the Jets winning on 9-11, Rodgers, Achilles, and the Giants going down 40-0. I just want to control out, delete that shit like it never happened. The Rams won though, so shout out to them.
Rams doing phenomenal things, brother, and it's very exciting times. Basketball around the corner as well. We want to get into this real quick, man, and I want to do a quick breakdown, man, of pros, cons of each team. If we believe they're contenders, pretenders, or risers, which means it's an up and coming team with not really a lot of expectations, but they could surprise some folks. So let's start off with one of the hottest names in the offseason, the Phoenix Suns of Arizona. Okay, now the most notable offseason acquisitions was they traded Chris Paul away, and they ended up signing Beal, right, in the trade with Utah Watanabe, Eric Gordon, Drew Ebanks, and Keita Bates-Diop. I hope I didn't butcher his name. Plus, they also acquired what was his name? 7'5" dude, Bobo, man. Mm-hmm. They acquired a giraffe, man. What do you think so far of their offseason, man? How you feeling about it?
Considering what they could do, being pretty much a second apron team, they did a pretty good job. They got a lot of guys that other teams did indeed want. So I'll give them credit for that. They still got KD. They still got D Book. They added Bradley Beal. We'll see how that goes. They still have Ayton. In my mind, they're a contender. So I would say that they're up there.
They're a contender. I agree with you. I think they're a contender. What are the cons? What is something that can hold them back from becoming that and actually falling short of their goal of competing for a title, in your opinion?
Defense. We'll see how the depth goes, their size, health, and Vogel and his rotations. We know what that's like. So we'll see how that goes. They gave Vogel a 5-year contract, so he's going to be up there doing things his way. Probably feeling no pressure to change anything. He's got some offensive challenges as a head coach, but he's got an offensive juggernaut. So he's going to bring the defense, at least attempting to. I just don't know if they're going to have the skill on defense to just stick to his principles, though.
Absolutely. And the thing for me, the one thing that could hold them back is injuries, man. It's an older team, right, led by their superstar Kevin Durant, who really, he's been semi-healthy, but he's also been in and out of the lineup. So you just never with him as far as that goes. And how that could transpire. Not only him, but they got other older players as well. Obviously, Bradley Beal, who's been injury prone throughout his career. I think that to me could be a major setback with the Phoenix Suns. But yeah, it is definitely an interesting team. I do believe they're a contender. I agree with you there. Now moving on, man. The defending champions, the Denver Nuggets. Notably, this offseason they lost Bruce Brown, right, which was huge in my opinion because he was tremendous, right? As one of the better wing defenders in this league, right? But it's interesting because Christian Braun looks like he's somebody who's ready to step up and try to replace some of those minutes with Bruce Brown. What do you think of them, man? Give me your quick analysis on the Denver Nuggets.
They're the returning champions. So you got to give them their respect. They did lose a little couple bullets in the clip, as you mentioned. Lost Bruce Brown, lost Jeff Green, lost the element of surprise. They're going to be the hunted this year instead of hunting. We'll see how much we'll see how it is when they go to face a team that's in the bottom of the lottery and they only go out there once a year, and that's that team's only sellout of the year, and you're public enemy number one and got to come into everyone's building as the champion, and we'll see how they handle that pressure and a little less depth. They played further into the season last year. They may run out of gas a little bit next year. You got to give them credit, but they're definitely a contender. But I'll tell you what, their coach over there didn't do himself any favors talking trash to the city of LA or the Lakers. Now that team is reloaded and locked in, ready to go with them circled as a target on their backs for them for sure.
Right. And it looks like I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties here. My video seems to be a little bit frozen, but you guys can hear me, right? The show goes on if you guys can hear me, as long as everything.
But your video is locked up there, but can definitely hear you though.
Okay, perfect. We'll keep it going. All right. So I agree, man. Denver Nuggets going to have a huge target on their back. Defending champions, it's hard to repeat for a reason, because it's one of those things where, everybody, all of a sudden you're on everybody's radar. They're able to kind of sneak by. Last season, I don't think there was too many teams or too many fans out there that had them, predicted to win the championship, except for a few of us that was like, okay, they're kind of dangerous. They're pretty deep this season and they're healthy, which is the most important thing. Now, next season, I do believe that Bruce Brown loss is going to hurt them, but they got some pieces there that could step up. They draft extremely well, and they're a plug-and-play offense. I agree. I think they are contenders, but there's a lot of question marks right now early on that you really can't predict too much as far as that goes with the Denver Nuggets. It's going to be very interesting to see how they officiate Jokic next season. You think he gets the same calls, man, after the little off-season thing where he really wasn't celebrating the championship? What do you think the NBA is going to do about that?
At the end of the day, so he's a two-time MVP, a champion. I think he didn't really do anything off the court that, not what you're seeing with some of the other guys they're in the news for getting in trouble. What he did, he's not from here. He's a foreigner. He wanted to get home. He didn't have to rub that in everyone's faces to make it seem like he really didn't care, coming off arrogant. Like, I come here, I win, I go home by, my voice, my impression isn't as good as yours, but it's kind of like how we did it, right? It's kind of like how we did it. So I don't necessarily think they're going to punish him. But I do think that maybe they won't give him as much flopping, and things like that. So as far as one thing I forgot to mention in the portion about them is it really comes down to the health of Murray. When that boy is healthy, because Bubble Murray wasn't just Bubble Murray, he was healthy Murray. So the last 2 seasons that they've had a healthy Murray, they've gotten at least to the Western Conference Finals, and that dude is balled out.
I agree, man, and he's kind of put his name up there with some of the elite guards in the league, which a couple years ever since the bubble, he's kind of been ascending and taking off. So very excited. What's up, Prince? What's up, everybody in the chat? Welcome, salute, guys. Thank you guys for joining us today. Me and my special guest, Empire Jeff. If you guys already haven't subscribed to him, please go hit the subscribe button, Empire Jeff TV. This dude has been breaking it down all summer long for you guys, man. So we appreciate the grind, Jeff. Now let's talk about another team here, man, that is also kind of intriguing, and that is the Boston Celtics, right? They traded away Marcus Smart. They signed Kristaps Porzingis, and kind of changes the dynamic of that team a little bit. We're going to see Derek White kind of get a little bit of a bigger role as far as the ball handling, guard skills, and all of that. Pretenders or contenders, Jeff, if you had to bet your house on it today?
I hate to say this, but they're contenders. But however, they traded the heart of their team, the guy whose heart they relied on, for a guy who's knee they're about to rely on, and that knee hasn't been so reliable. But I will say that if Porzingis is healthy, they can be dangerous. So that front line of him, Williams, and Tatum, and a physical guard in Brown, even though he can't go left, when he does go right, he's usually right. So Derek White at the point, I don't know about that, but they got Malcolm Brogdon to back him up. Come down to them with their rebounding, their 3-point shooting, and if their coach can stop watching The Town 5 times a week and actually watch game film. Outside of that, I think the team, they're a contender. As you get through these teams, you're going to pretty much figure out but I've got them as one of the few contenders in the East, because the East is just hot garbage.
That is very true, man. The East is hot garbage, and you just never know who's going to be a riser in the Eastern Conference. Every year it feels like we have somebody else. I kind of felt like the Cavaliers disappointed last season, right? Like they disappointed somewhat. Like a lot of people had them going at least to the Eastern Conference Finals. They get eliminated by the Knicks, which was kind of sweet for Knicks fans, especially since they missed out on Donovan Mitchell. Now let's talk a little bit about the Cleveland Cavaliers, man. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, in your mind, this is in my mind, this is a make it or break it season for Donovan Mitchell, as far as him potentially asking for a trade out of there. So he didn't want to get there in the first place. I think the only way they could hold on to him is if they win, right, or they go further than expected. What do you think about that whole situation with Cleveland, Jeff?
Cleveland was pretty much exactly what I thought they'd be on around the league, like numerous times. I said I think they're a year too early. I felt that they had really good young players. They really didn't know how to win yet. Donovan Mitchell being plugged in there, coming from a system and a place in Utah where he was on a team that was years too early. Good players that really didn't know how to win yet. So he found himself in a familiar situation, right? So. Right. For them, I think they will be good. I think they will move up the ladder. I don't have them as a contender, but I have them moving up the ladder. I think they will be very good again. Their defense has improved. They went out, and I believe they add Max Strus, and then they just they just re-added Tristan for some veteran leadership there. So that was a good signing for a veteran big. I don't know how much he'll play or how much he'll give them, but he's a good guy to have in your locker room. So he'll be good there. He's already played there. He knows what it's like to live in a depressing city and play. So so he's got that checked off, right? But I think they will move up. I think they will be better, but I've got them kind of like if the Celtics and whatever the other team we got as a contender in the East, call them the A team. I probably got them in the B league over there as kind of the next tier. But they'll be difficult. They'll be tough. Their defense is great and will get better. But I don't have them as a contender. Okay.
Wow. Okay. So first pretender of the night goes to the Cleveland Cavaliers, as Jeff called them second tier. I agree. And I know we're going to do a lot of that because great minds think alike. But I agree, man. The Cleveland Cavaliers, to me, are a pretender. Donovan Mitchell, as great as a player as he is, I've never personally seen him be able to take his team to the next level in the playoffs. I feel like he has tremendous regular seasons. But at the playoffs, as we know, the schemes and the defensive lineups all change, and they kind of lock in on individual players. And I think the Knicks did a tremendous job of exploiting that last year as far as, the Cavaliers, a lot of their offense going through Garland and Donovan Mitchell. But I am a big fan of both of that backcourt. I think they're going to continue to grow and get better. I do see them going a little bit further this year. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I don't have them coming out of the East. So for that reason, I have to go pretender as well. But it is a very deep team. And I wonder, if they stay healthy, how far they can go. Very, very intriguing roster for sure, and properly coached and everything. Now, there's another team that really disappointed, I think, a lot of NBA fans last season. And it was mostly due to injury, but the Milwaukee Bucks, the Greek Freaks team, right? They went ahead and got eliminated by the eventual finals, Eastern Conference Finals champs, the Miami Heat. And they didn't do much this offseason, man. I think their biggest acquisition was like Malik Beasley. Who'd they lose? I think they lost their backup guard, Javon Carter. He was decent. They still have Drew. They kept Brook Lopez. Where do you have them, man? Where do you have them this year in the NBA?
They got Giannis, so I got them as a contender. I will say this. Their biggest offseason goal was to find a head coach and keep the guys they wanted to keep. So re-signing Middleton, re-signing Brook Lopez. They didn't end up trading Portis. I really thought for a while that if they kept Lopez, they were going to have to trade Portis. I thought they were leaning between the two of them, and they kept both. So they've got an interesting year ahead of them. Like I said, I really think that the best thing they did was get rid of their head coach. I didn't think Coach Bud was just he had to go at that point. He was just his game management, and Darvin comes from that tree, the Bud tree, pun intended. But he comes from that tree. So does Jenkins of Memphis. And at the end of the day, like those guys, they have a problem. They all have the same problem. Rotations, stubbornness, kind of stick to their strategy. Do not adjust. Do not change. And when that went wrong, even when he got whacked, Darvin started changing his style a little bit. He saw the writing on the wall. However, Adrian Griffin coming in, we got to see how first-time head coach. We got to see how he does. You got Giannis there. You got Drew Holiday. You got Middleton. But Middleton's got to stay healthy, and so does Giannis. His knees have some issues the last couple of years. So I do like to pick up a Beasley there. That's an upgrade over Matthews. He'll probably play better than he did in LA. It'll probably be more the previous version of him that we saw in Utah and Minnesota. It'll probably be that version of him. But outside of that, I do think they're a contender. I have them because they got Freak, but they're right there with the Celtics, and contender.
Wow. Okay. This is going to be the first one we disagree on, man. Because you know what? Giannis is awesome, right? But in a 7-game series, he's going to need some help. And Middleton was so injured last year. I don't know what to expect from him this year, to be honest. Now they do have a brand new head coach, and we don't know what to expect out of him either. There's just too many question marks for me to put him in the contender category for now. Now, I could be wrong, they could end up, hitting it off early on and then eventually making a run. But for now, I'm going to put them in the pretender category. And it's not due to Giannis. It's just because of the surrounding pieces. I feel like they kind of stand pat. And every year the league is getting better and better. Even the Celtics made a splash. Now, will it pay off or not? TBD, right? But like they had to do something, in my opinion. A lot of teams got better. You got, especially in the West Coast, right? Obviously, you got the Suns, the Lakers. So many teams got better, and the Bucks stood pat. So I don't even think they have enough talent as constructed to come out of the East. I think Boston's going to be up there. I think you got to watch out for certain teams like even Philly, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But still, I'm going to put them pretender just for now. Maybe that, I reserve the right to change that opinion later on if they make a move or something interesting happens there. But I do find them intriguing just because, like we said, a bunch of new pieces. Obviously, the head coach. The head coach is new there, and that always takes like a year of adjustment, even though Darvin Ham did an exceptional job on his first year. I think we don't give him enough credit. We are very hard on Darvin for the things he didn't do, but we fail to realize the things he did do. Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm going to segue over to the Lakers because I cannot keep biting my tongue.
It's the furthest we've gone into a show without
starting off.
Salute to you, man. Salute to you.
Yeah,
we did it.
We did it, man. Hey, but listen. The Lakers, right? Darvin Ham, like I said, we don't give him enough credit. He took his team to the Western Conference Final last season. First year doing that, man. And we signed a plethora of players to add to the core pieces that we already kept. So we signed Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent. Notably, the only player we lost that was a notably significance was Dennis Schroeder because he had a kind of a breakout year last year. But we just so many great acquisitions. Where do you have the Lakers this season? I think I know the answer, but go ahead.
Contender, definite contender. They were a contender last year, so they got better. So they're absolutely a contender. Everything involved has gone right so far for the Lakers this summer. They're coming into a season with no drama, no side stories, no beefs, no nothing. And the best thing about what the Lakers did is their position that even if things do go a little sideways, they got so much flexibility. Shout out to Rob. Shout out to Jeannie. Shout out to Clutch for getting out the room and letting Rob work and doing his thing. Because at the end of the day, what the Lakers did, they built a championship roster with future and current flexibility and staying out of the tax. Man, hold on.
Yes.
Shout out to Rob Pelinka for that, man. I'm going to say it again. They did all that and they stayed out of the tax. So now they could go, they can do a bunch of things still, all these contracts. It's just amazing what they can do. Things start off a little rough. They got trade capabilities, but they better start off 10-2, man, because they gave us 2-10 last year. I want 10-2. I think they're going to come out the gate. I think they're going to take it personal. I think they're going to, a lot of guys on that team are coming for a revenge season, including Darvin Ham, AD at the head of the ship with that. And absolute contender. And I may be crazy, man, but I got them as the top threat in the West. I really do. I think their defense will be top 5, and I think their offense will now be top 12. If they can get between 10 to 15 on offense, so I'm putting an average about 12.5. If they can get to 12 on offense, I really think they'll be top 5 defense. They can get to that offense efficiency because the defense is going to be there, and D'Lo comes out and has a decent start to the season. The league's in trouble at that point.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to agree again because absolutely, man, the Lakers are definitely a contender. We got better from last year. The young players are going to get better. We saw what Austin Reeves looked like on Team USA, even though there's some weird controversies and haters that have been talking crazy. But
man, it's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? When you're a Laker,
undrafted man, it's crazy.
Listen, what I'm starting to realize, and I've always knew this as a kid, but when you're a Laker, there's just such a huge target on your back. I mean, Kuzma was Amber Rose when he was here. Now you don't hear nobody trashing him, Not Austin Reeves. It's always like the young player, the young core players get trashed for some reason. But we will not allow it, man. We will not allow it.
No, we're not standing for it. We're not standing for it. No, you're not hating the underdog. You're not going to hate on the underdog. No.
Wait, listen. Hey, women lie, men lie, numbers don't. And this guy's going to put up huge numbers this year. I can't wait to rub it in everybody's face. But look, the Lakers, I expect the coach to be better this year. He has 1 year under his belt. I expect the young players to be better. We added some depth, obviously, and then the draft picks, who knows if they're even going to get some PT at this rate. But we have some great insurance policies. By the way, 15 roster spots still wide open. I don't know if you've been paying attention to this stuff, Jeff, but Ratatouille just got cut, and so did Noel, and it seems like some pieces are starting to become available. Do the Lakers sit on it and wait for a better piece to come along? Or would you go ahead and make a move now?
I think they sit. I don't think they have any interest in Payne. Payne has Clipper written all over him. He just looks like a fit for a team with too many toilets.
Oh,
And then
Yo.
yeah,
Oh,
Noel with the whole beef with Clutch. I don't see him as an option. So I think the Lakers are going to sit on it. I don't think they're in a rush. They've got the 14. They got some time before they got to pull the plug and worry about those 2 ways.
yes.
So they've got some time. They're going to wait to see who falls off the roster here. They're going to wait to see who doesn't get extended. They're going to see who's collateral damage from a potential Dame or Harden trade. So what's worked for the Lakers since the Westbrook trade has been patience, and I expect them to continue to do that. The Lakers are in position that if someone gets bought out or waived, they are below that second apron. They're not a second apron team. So like teams like the Clippers, Suns, and Warriors, I think the Clippers might not be there yet, but if they make a trade, they probably will be. They cannot get a player that's released above a mid-level exemption dollar amount. So any of these big dollar players that get released, the Lakers run right to the front of that line. So I think they're going to take advantage of that. I don't think they'd want to sign a player at 15 unless they do a non-guarantee. Sign a guy at 15, then have to waive him to get a guy that gets waived, go into tax, and then sign that guy. So I think it's better for them to just wait that out until they know the landscape. There's no real rush to do it yet. They've got time before they got to make a decision on that 2-way, and they've got an empty open roster spot there, and it frees out. So if you're going to do a trade and you're just going to, you're going to move, you're going to trade one guy and bring back 2, then you got that spot there. So which couple of my trade scenarios for this season involve them getting 2 players back. So I think that's an angle that they're doing for the Lakers. Leave breadcrumbs. If you pay attention, they leave breadcrumbs. And then when it happens, you're like, aha, it was there the whole time. So I think they're leaving one right now.
I agree, man. And again, what's happening here is that, like you said, they leave breadcrumbs, and they've been doing it the last couple of seasons. They've been leaving that 15 roster spot open for flexibility. I mean, who's to say that one of those 2-way contract spots doesn't get converted, right? We had success with that in the past with Austin Reeves. So who's to say Colin Castleton or Demoy Hodge can't pull up and grab that spot in training camp or preseason, or maybe even later on down the stretch, right? Bottom line is flexibility is the key, and that's one thing Rob Pelinka is really good at. And we're gonna let Rob work, and let him do his thing. Real quick question, I could be surfing. Thanks so much for Super Chat, brother. Said, who's your sleeper team this year? For me, it's OKC. We talked about this a little bit on Around the League. Just to recap, my sleeper team was the Utah Jazz. I feel like it's a team that just traded for John Collins and has the size to compete in this league, and they got plenty of guards to go with that as well. So that was my sleeper team. What was your sleeper team, really quick, Jeff?
I believe mine was OKC. I'm really high on them. I love everything about what they're doing, like literally everything. The only thing I don't like about OKC is that they're not the Lakers. Outside of that, I really like what they're doing.
They got one of the sweetest young cores out there, man, and led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's crazy.
And dude, their draft picks got draft picks. It's like it's just ridiculous. They've got tremendous flexibility. Shout out to Sam Presti and their ownership group and their front office over there. They got a good coach. They got a good culture. The next superstar that goes on the market, or the next star, most of these guys aren't superstars. The next star that goes on the market that isn't too old and it's got a long-term contract that really can't have any say about where they go. There's no leverage to apply. OKC's going to get them. So I think they're sitting really pretty. I think they will make at least the play-in this year and probably get into the playoffs. And good Lord, having to face a team like that in the first round, they could win a round. They really could.
Man, after what Gilgeous-Alexander did overseas, man, over there playing for Team Canada, very impressive. I mean, he's been impressive the last couple of years, but my goodness, aren't you glad he's not a Clipper? My goodness, aren't you glad? Oh, man.
It would be even better if the Clippers just fall in the toilet, pun intended, and then and OKC ends up getting like one of the, you know what I mean, like a top player, and then just I'm kind of hoping for that, even though if it hurts us, just to rub it in more.
Yeah, no, I agree, man, and that's just the thing. OKC, so much talent, and let's talk about them a little bit, man. They're one of the risers for me, and I'll say, obviously led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I love Josh Giddey. Giddey is very underrated, as a playmaker. He's gotten better as a scorer. I can't wait to see what he does his second year, or is it his third year? No, I believe it's his second year, right?
Giddey?
Yeah,
Giddey be going into his third year.
Third year. Oh my goodness, the time flies. Third year already for Josh Giddey, man. There's Liddy over there for Josh Giddey. Look, I'm a big fan of his, and as well as Alexander. I think they're very bright up and coming backcourt, and then of course Chet very excited to see what he's got, man.
Chet's my vote for rookie of the year. I really think he's. I think
That's
he has a
great
strong chance for it, but just because I don't know how much Wemby's going to play.
Is it far fetched to say? Is it far fetched to say that Chet might shine more than Wembanyama just because the Spurs tend to kind of turn players into system players?
System players, and they hold them back, right? So
yeah.
Chet, I don't know. See, I think the player who gets drafted gets hurt and then is around an NBA team for an entire year and learns how to become a pro their first year.
Advantage.
Has an advantage from the second they step on the court in year 2. So technically he's a rookie, but he's not a rookie as far as the experience of travel, film room, diet, nutrition, and then just things of that nature. So where those things, and plus not only is Wemby going to go through that, but he's in a whole new country. So Wemby is he's got the skill, he's got the talent. I even though he's a Spur, the amount of pressure that's put on that guy, I wish him the best. But I think Chet is really, I think he's flying under people's radar. Him and Scoot, I think are my two that. I was really torn on them. I think you picked Scoot and I picked Chet. So
Chet, yeah. Look, the thing about Chet, he has a great chance to shine because he's playing with a great point guard. The two of them, to be exact. There's a twin point guard backcourt right there, combo guards they can switch off. And they're gonna play make. The pick and rolls are gonna be deadly with that an athlete like Chet rolling to the rim right there, and he can finish with either hand, soft touch around the basket, can space the floor with the three. It's gonna be really fun to watch. So yeah, OKC definitely one of the sleeper teams as well as the Jazz. It's gonna be a fun season, man. I cannot wait. And for those of you that have a league pass, follow along because we decided we're gonna be covering some non-Laker games this season. And especially the big ones, man. So that should be exciting coming up next season, man. But yes, Chet, very interesting pick. My guy said, I'm here, but running errands, fuck my life. He said, gotta catch the replay. Hey, man, Dante, we appreciate you for being here, man. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. All right, moving on, man. We got to talk Philly. Philadelphia is a big question mark. Obviously, the whole drama with James Harden going on over there. They lose George Niang, Montrezl Harrell, and they sign Patrick Beverley. Okay, but the biggest storyline, obviously, is James Harden, who, as my good friend Jeff likes to say, is full of shit as well. It's one of those things with what's going to happen there, Jeff? Talk to me about Philly, man. What's going to happen with Philly and their impending trade request, right, from James Harden?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna want to, again, breadcrumbs get left, right? I think if you want to look at what Philly is gonna do, I think you just look no further than the Ben Simmons situation. They were prepared to just let him sit, take away his money. These guys who are about their money. Harden's upset about money. He's like, you care about money, then you're trying to hold us hostage. We're going to hold you hostage. And I think it's kind of funny that the league put out this little memo yesterday about the playing time and teams holding players out. And they put in there about circumstances, which would be like trade demands and sitting out training camp and things like that. So Harden almost has to play in the event of this, because then the league is going to take his money, because the teams are like, we're trying to play him. He won't play. So you can't fine us. What do you want us to do? He's basically protesting. So he's got a contract. He doesn't want to play. This new CBA puts it to where if he just does not play all year, and when he becomes a free agent, he cannot be free to sign with another team. And so Philly says, okay, we'll allow that to happen anywhere. He can't even play overseas. So he can't even take that Saudi money, right? So literally, if he doesn't play and they get past the trade deadline and he can't go to wherever he wants next year, Philly can block that. So they have all the leverage at this point. The only problem is that the Joel Embiid situation. Is he going to be patient through all this? He's going to want to deal with this all over again. He's saying right now he's willing to wait it out. We'll see how that goes once games start playing and those losses start piling up. So I absolutely do not have them as a contender. To be honest, even if Harden was there and things were good, I wouldn't have them as a contender. I said last year, all year, this is the last year I'm believing in these motherfuckers, and I meant that. So they are off the empire, Jeff, like wishing well. Like I don't fuck with them no more. They've just gone out of their way to prove to everyone that when the crunch time is, they're just going to fold. So now they got this stuff going through. So even if they trade Harden, like I don't really know what they're going to be able to get for him at this point, because what team really wants him at this point? The Clippers will take him basically for free, essentially. But outside of that, to get value for him, I don't see it out there. Yeah.
And the thing is, your biggest offseason acquisition was Patrick Beverley. You're not going to get very far, as the Lakers found out last season. He's an overrated player. And the James Harden thing, if I'm a Philadelphia 76ers fan, I'm more concerned about Embiid, because through all of this, Embiid is paying close attention to the way you guys are treating Harden, and he's like, "What if I wanted to trade? What's going to happen there?" Right? So, so I think he might be the next one to ask out, especially if they don't get this whole situation situated rather quickly and get him a piece that can actually make him compete before the playoffs start next year. This might be the last season we see Joel in a Sixer uniform. And and with that being said, I know, hey, me and you, we both like the Knicks, buddy.
Here we go. Segue right. Segue right.
Yes.
Here we go. Yeah.
The New York Knicks. Do you see them as a real landing spot for Joel Embiid, assuming everything goes right for the Knicks, wrong for the Sixers?
Yes. And I think that's what the Knicks are waiting on. The Knicks are waiting on a combination of 3 players, whichever one becomes available. I see 2 of the 3 potentially being available for trade. One is Embiid. I think he's just built for New York. He's just built for it. He can handle the pressure of the media. He can get in front of that camera and shine. He's a player that the city will get behind. He would fit great in New York. He absolutely would. The other would be Donovan Mitchell. I think that, I don't know if he's going to sign that extension in Cleveland. If he doesn't, they've got to think hard about trading him. And the Knicks would be his preferred destination, and he would have some leverage going into a potential free agent year. The third one is Giannis, and I just don't see him getting traded. If he leaves, I believe it's in free agency, not in a trade. But having said that, so the Knicks, I think they do have a chance at Embiid if Embiid becomes available. But if he's not on the table as currently constructed, I actually have the Knicks taking a little step back next year.
Wow.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, just from the standpoint of I like the team. I really like the team. But at some point, I really like Brunson, but he's really one-dimensional. The injuries and just Thibodeau, the way he runs his players into the ground. I'm interested to see how that goes this year. The Randall situation, they've got to figure something out there. And I think they'll be good. I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't have them as a contender. And I know that they took Cleveland out last year, but essentially to me, they were similar. So I will put Cleveland above New York again this year. And I have New York probably in towards maybe the back end of the B, high C in the East, but they're definitely, and I love New York. Shout out to the city, but the Knicks are going to be the Knicks. They're not going to be a contender this year.
Okay. Hot take there from Jeff. I actually thought you were going to go the other way with the Knicks. Well, I'll tell you my take on them. It's a little different because, they had a overachieving season by their standards last year, right? They had a brand new point guard in Jalen Brunson, who, by the way, was a total stud. And obviously, a very good young up-and-coming team, hard-nosed coached, and I actually think they're on the rise. They just signed Dante DiVincenzo. I think that's a very solid pickup.
Underrated pickup.
Yeah, underrated pickup for sure. RJ Barrett, to me, is the key to that team, because if he steps up and plays like the third guy, then I think they will be one of the risers. But let's just assume that he plays the same, which is inconsistent, right? He'll show up once every 3 games. Then they would be in trouble for sure. But for now, I got to say, I think the Knicks are going to gel a little bit more. I think they're going to be one of the riser teams. They might even get past, dare I say, the second round? Dare I say? Nah. Dare I say?
About to have New York say, go, New York, go, New York, go.
All right. You know what? I will say this, man. I will hope they get past the second round, but it's going to be a tough outing, especially with a couple of teams up there. But if everything goes right, let's say RJ Barrett takes that leap, I have them as one of the risers. But it's a big if, right? It's a big if.
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, that was my if too. RJ and Randall, are the two.
Randall is kind of Randall, somebody called him a bull in a china shop a long time ago.
He is, yeah.
That's kind of what he is. And he's very versatile. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but can he be under control when it matters the most, right? And we haven't seen it yet from him deep in the playoffs. He has great regular seasons, but he kind of tends to disappear a little bit in the postseason. And I think that's because Randall has always struggled versus size and length, right? And in the playoffs, when it slows down into the half-court offense, all of a sudden, guess what he's going up against, right? He's going up against the Jared Allens of the world, the Mobleys. Yeah. And that's why I think he struggles. He rushes the shot to try to get it off over the sides. And, I would like him to be more of a playmaker when he's doubled, but I think that's what sometimes he gets tunnel vision. He wants to be that hero, So, but
he tried to force, and because of that length, he'll have to force too many jump shots and things like that. Let me ask you a question: who's the second, in your opinion? Who's the second best player on the Knicks?
All right, so first one is obviously Jalen Brunson. Second one, it has to be Julius, man. I have to give it to Julius, even though he's inconsistent.
Yeah,
but so is RJ, and I think the key is RJ. if he steps up and takes that, from Julius, I think they'd be better off because I would love Julius more as a third option.
That's my point right there. If Julius Randle's your second best player, you're not near contention level, in my opinion. If Julius Randle's your third best player, now you're maybe talking because his physical play and the things he can do to wear out the defense with the physicality and the defense not really having to focus him as a second option, then you get a mismatch potentially and you're better. But with him as your second option, nah, just not. But I agree with you with the Barrett thing. If he steps up his game and gets consistent, then the Knicks can be a problem in the East. Still not a contender, but I think they can go further.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We agree again. Great minds. And if you guys don't know, me and Jeff, really like the Knicks. He's from New York. I have friends out there in New York. I've always been a secondary Knicks fan, because I love their passion and the way those Knicks fans stay true to that team, right? Also, that blue and orange is kind of sexy, not gonna lie, So, but yeah, man. Knicks I always watch them every year through League Pass, and I'll tell you, they're literally one player stepping up away from being really dangerous. And if that's RJ Barrett, then so be it. Shoe Medic, what's up, brother? He said, haven't caught a live in a minute, but I've been grinding. Keep up this content. Thank you, man. Thank you. And I got a lot of content coming individually and collectively. For those of you that haven't heard, my guy right here, Empire Jeff, is now an official. He was a guest last year on Around the League. He's an official member of ATL panel this year. So round of applause for my guy. Listen, we're going to do some big things.
Thank you.
We're going to be doing 2 a week now. Instead of 1 a week Around the League, it's coming twice a week. And we're going to mix it up. We're still going to try to get at least one guest in here every week, man. So make sure you guys do keep it locked here. And also subscribe to my brother, man, because he's been grinding himself. All right, I'll tell you right now, Empire Jeff TV is no joke. This guy's a monster, and he's going places. So follow his journey from the beginning, man, if you want to be at day one, for sure.
Appreciate you.
But yeah, guys, moving on to the next thing. I think we were just on the Knicks, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies, man. And we only got 10 teams in so far. We got 20 to go. So I'm going to try to speed round it a little bit here. Memphis Grizzlies, man. Contender, pretender, riser. How you feel?
They're the ones I'm kind of stuck on. You remember our last show when Eddie was like, he had them as probably their sleeper, and I had them as probably the one that was going to fall, right? Because I really don't know. That's how double inside of the spectrum they are. They could rise and they could surprise people. They could rally around this Josh shit, or they could completely become what undoes this team. I don't know what that will be yet. I like Marcus Smart there. I like the leadership of him and Derrick Rose. However, like I said, if you get 10, 15 games into this and they start getting frustrated and just throw their hands up, then what does this team have? So I don't know where they're going to be. So right now I'm going to label them as a non-contender. I have a feeling they're going to slop. They were the 2nd seed last year. I think they will be out of the top 3 seeds. I will have them maybe between 4 and 6, and that's if Ja comes back with a monster second half of the season. Outside of that, I do not have them as a contender. I don't. Not right now.
And again, we agree. They traded for Marcus Smart, which is a very good pickup, right? It's a more mature version of Dylan Brooks, pretty much. A better version, too. They signed Derrick Rose, which I like. He hasn't got too much PT the last couple of seasons, but I like him just as a mentor for Ja Morant, who, by the way, missed 25 games last season, right? So that's why they're a huge question mark. But I do have him as a pretender as well. They were a pretender last year as well. I mean, I try to tell folks, but they wasn't listening, right? And the thing is that Ja Morant hasn't shown the maturity to lead his team to the next level. People forget that not only do you have to be really good offensively and defensively, but you have to be a leader to be able to get your team to the next level. If you guys haven't been watching Winning Time, watch it, okay? It basically breaks down how Magic Johnson had to become a leader in order to lead his team, right? So same thing with Ja, man. I see a lot of potential there. I'm a big fan of his talent, but he's super immature. I mean, that gun shit is crazy. I mean,
he just hasn't seen to learn his lesson at all. So it's just how much I rocked with Ja heavy when he first came out. I loved watching Ja. Like I was watching Memphis steady. Like I would love watching him. Then they just kind of changed. And then when it started to get that arrogance and that cockiness, and it was cool at first. Okay, it's kind of cool. These young bucks are ready for whatever. And then it just kept pushing further and further and further. And then I got off John, started watching Ant-Man. He kind of started became one of my league pass guys. So I've just everything almost about Memphis. Last year we were hoping we got them in round 1. We were like, when there's a 7 seed, hope to face a number 2 seed. We wanted them because we just knew we could beat them. So facts.
We knew we could beat them based off of maturity on its own, right? It's not only star power, but maturity. And that's where we really got them, to be honest. As a matter of fact, their main issue was maturity, right? With Dylan Brooks, got Dylan cooked. You know, he all that bear shit and all that crazy talk, man. But yeah, I'll tell you, Memphis for me for sure a pretender, and they will continue to be that until their superstar gets his ducks in order, and then maybe we can start talking seriously. Minnesota, I think that's an easy one, but go ahead, Jeff.
Minnesota is a team that should be better than they are, but they're not. It seems to always happen that way. And I'm not a real big fan of Cat. I never really have been. I know the guy can score. I know he can do some things, but he's kind of immature too in the stuff that he does. And I think he brings has a little Dylan Brooks in him, where he brings attention to him for no reason whatsoever. Yes. And the guy can have a 20-point game and walk around like he's Kareem. He needs to shut what they call all the way the fuck up sometimes and just chill. But like outside of that, they have a team that should be good. It's just I think Ant's gonna have a really good year. I like Conley. I think Gobert with the emergence of Joker maybe a little bit more important this year. So I think they're gonna be better than last year. But I definitely don't have them as a contender. But I could see
would you have them as risers? Would you have them as risers? Maybe playing better.
What they were they were 8th last year?
Yeah,
they faced us in a play-in. Yeah, they faced us in a play-in, right? Damn. I could see them rising from 8th, maybe as high as 7th. But injuries and stuff like that. So riser, yeah, they're like right where they were last year. So I'm gonna give them as a slight riser, just because I really think that Ant is gonna have a huge year next year. I really think he's gonna take over that team.
Okay, I like that. I like that take. I'm on the fence about Minnesota. I'm right there with you, man. Carl Anthony Pussy, not a fan of his, man. The thing about him is that, like you said, he loves running his mouth and he does all this weird antics off the court, and his voice changes like no other. Like it's like it's like he's still going through puberty, bro. Like I don't get it. But putting all my personal feelings to the side, they are extremely talented. I don't like Rudy Gobert either. That's another one, man. That's another one that I'm just like, man, my goodness. But I feel sorry for Ant-Man, because I feel like if he had another co-star, that was a little bit more mentally tough, and I feel like he would get further in his career. Cat to me is not that guy. They thought they had something there when they traded for D'Lo, who was good friends with Karl Towns. That didn't work out. So yeah, Cat to me is probably in the similar boat to Julius Randle, where he'd be better suited as the third best player on the team, not the second or the first. And then maybe you could talk real contender. But yeah, they're pretenders for me for now. I don't see them as risers because the West is so tough that somebody's gonna have to slide off. Somebody's gonna have to slide off. So I have them potentially as the sliders for me personally, right? Just and that's not even because I dislike them, because I dislike other teams more, but I'll give them credit, right? So yeah, I'll just have them as pretenders till I see what Ant-Man can do throughout a season. Well, the one thing I did see from him in Team USA is he gets tunnel vision, man. He hits 2 to 3 shots and he forgets to mash on the A button. He forgets to pass. Yeah, right. So that's the only thing. Once he learns that, Kobe had to learn that. He had to learn that early in his career, how to trust his teammates. That's a big struggle we went through with Phil Jackson and Kobe Bryant early on. Is that, Phil wanted to play inside out basketball, and Kobe said, I'm putting in the work every practice, fam. It's going through me. So I think that's something Ant-Man has to learn. Matter of fact, I think it was indicative of what he said when Steve Kerr told reporters that he told Ant-Man Kobe came off the bench, and he said, I don't see no Kobe anywhere.
There's no Kobe's on this team.
Yeah. So
great answer.
I love the kid, but he does have to learn how to pass and trust teammates before they can get to the next level. So I have them as pretenders. All right. The OKC Thunder, which is the team you chose as sleepers, I'll let you go ahead and take it away, brother. OKC.
Yeah, they're a sleeper. I think they're going to be very good this year. I think they will improve. I think they will be a riser. I think they'll be a tough out every night in every single game. I don't have them as a contender, that's for sure, but I have them as a riser. I could see them getting as high because of their energy, because of their youth, because of their depth, because of their coaching, because of the ability to make trades if they need to get better in season. I could see them getting as high as 6th. I really can. I just think they're going to get better every single year. So they've been sneaking up on people the last couple of years. I don't think they're sneaking up on anyone anymore. And I think I definitely think they are a playoff team. I don't think they're a play-in team. I think they're a playoff team, and I think they can get as high as 6th.
Wow, that's a good take. Love OKC, love their talent. They're for sure risers. And I remember 10 years back when KD and Russell Westbrook came in the league. And they were first trying to make a name for themselves. This is kind of what this team reminds me of. They got a lot of young talent, and these guys are trying to make a name for themselves. But like you said, they're not sneaking up on teams no more. Everybody's seen what Shai Gilgeous is doing, and what he did this summer. Everybody has seen, what Chet looks like now. We've seen glimpses of it, and as well as Giddey. Plus, like you said, they have a treasure trove of draft picks. If a young disgruntled star happens, they're going to be first in line, right? Let's just say that for some reason, Jaylen Brown requested trade. I think OKC would be at the front of that list, man. I think they would be up there, and they have everything as far as to get them. They have young talent, they have role players, they have draft picks. So yes,
I'm telling you right now, Ant. I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, that would be a badass name, yo. Hey, that would be a badass name to add to OKC. They instantly become one of my favorite young players. They do that.
Yeah, so just but you nailed a great one right there too, Jaylen Brown. Boston signed him to that extension because obviously you don't want to get him for nothing, and you don't want to let him go for nothing or have him disgruntled. And B, that's going to be a somewhat average all NBA player salary in the next couple of years. So that contract is crazy now, but it's getting at like 3 to 4 years from now when that money is what it is. It's not going to be as crazy then. So, but that's a great one for OKC, and I think he would fit there. He'd be a great veteran for them. I love Jaylen Brown. He wears the wrong uniform, and I know he's not great going left, but everything else he brings to a team I love, and he would be great there. But if they want someone a little younger and Ant starts tripping on Minnesota, all those picks, oh man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. OKC for sure, a riser and somebody to keep an eye on. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate you, bro. Thanks so much for the graphics as well, man. You the man, brother.
Graphic God. Man. Shout out to the Graphic God right there, guys. Make sure you support Graphic God right there.
Yes, the goat of graphics is in the building. All right, moving along. The Golden State Warriors, man. Man, this is one of the most intriguing teams for me heading into the season. I don't know if you heard the interview today, Draymond Green saying that they expect to win 2 more championships. I hate to burst this bubble, man. But I'm going to let you take it away first before I go in on the Golden State Warriors. Go ahead.
They are pretenders. It's over. It's over. LeBron ended it. It's a wrap. It's over. And they will be good. They will be in the playoffs, and they can scare some teams. I wouldn't want to face them, because they still got the heart of a champion. And if Steph goes dummy, and if Clay continues to get better and healthier, and Wiggins for a full season, the CP3 thing is really interesting to me, and I just don't know how that's gonna work, especially if they're talking about maybe starting him. So who goes to the bench? I don't know what to think of them. I've got to see how they play, but I definitely don't have them as a contender. And I think a lot of teams saw kind of Steve Kerr get exposed a little bit in FIBA, and they may that team was already undersized, and now you're adding CP3 to potentially starting lineup. I could see teams starting like 2 bigs every single night against them just to make life hell on them, get Draymond in foul trouble early.
And I hope they do, bro, because that small ball bullshit has to go. Yeah, it's bad for the league, man. It's bad for the league. So I'm glad.
It was entertaining for a while, and it was fun. But now, like us people who love the game of basketball and actually do love watching a big man go to work and put in the work and play the game the right way, we don't mind seeing it. So I think the Warriors are going to get a little taste of like the 2000s, the 90s and the 2000s this year, when the bigs are going to be a little bit more active, and I think the game's going to be a little bit more physical for them. And I definitely don't see them being a contender. What did they finish? They finished 6th last year. So I don't have them. To me, they're kind of like Minnesota. I can see them finishing kind of in that same realm, 5th or 6th. So I don't have them as a riser or what was the riser? What was the other one?
Riser, contender, or pretender?
Riser, contender, pretender. So pretender. That's a
pretender. Okay. Man, we almost we're at 90% in agreement, man. That's great.
Even when we disagree, we almost talked each other into agreeing. So
right, it's crazy, right? But yes, I'll tell you, they're definitely pretenders, and like you said, Jeff, I think we ended that era. I think that was it. And but I can't even. Lakers can't even take credit for that, because Draymond ended the era with a punch, right? It was the donkey punch, and it was wonderful to watch, because I knew then and there that their chemistry will never be the same again. And now they actually traded a future piece of their young core for an old, aging vet, Hall of Famer. But I mean, it didn't work out for Phoenix, and I'm not sure it'll work out for Golden State either. They're pretenders in my book, and there's just so many teams in the West that have gotten better this offseason, including Phoenix, the Lakers, Denver's still there. They're not going to get over any of those teams. So for those reasons, pretenders for sure. Are they're like a B list, borderline C tier.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, hot take. They're one injury away at the wrong time from not even making the playoffs. That's what I think.
That's more. I would say this: it's more likely that an injury happens that forced them to miss the playoffs than a rescue trade is to put them towards the top, right? So I would say, I agree with you, and that a lot of people, that is a hot take. Warriors fans are going to hate that, but
we're not wishing injury on nobody, but I'm just saying,
obviously not.
If Curry goes off and in March he gets injured or something, you're really in trouble. And I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but the league is talking about implementing a rule where you cannot rest multiple stars. So that's going to factor into a lot of these aging teams that don't have too much depth, and especially the ones that rely a lot on superstar and star power. Phoenix Suns. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really got to watch out, because guess what's going to happen? If you overplay your star, all of a sudden you're risking injury. Right. So,
and on that one, I want to touch on that one. I did a video on that yesterday. So if you guys want to go over to Empire Jeff TV, it's like a 30-minute video where I break down, I put the memo up there, the actual memo essentially from the league and how Woj broke it down. There's a lot of interesting things in there. And that I think that it's weird. The angle is kind of funny and how they're doing it. There's some loopholes in there that you can already see. But check out the video, because I spent about 30 minutes breaking that down.
Oh, for sure. We need to check out that breakdown for sure. Now, as far as that rule comes, it's not implemented yet, but they're talking about it, right? So
it's going to get voted on tomorrow, and it's going to pass.
Oof! If it passes, that's going to be another video right there.
It's passing. It's passing.
But crazy, right? Crazy, because that, I think, in a way, would you say that benefits or hurts the Lakers?
Benefits, because of certain language in there. So we got a minute. Can I throw it up real quick?
Yes. Go ahead.
Real quick. We'll make it quick.
Okay,
because
let me go ahead and let me see. There you go.
There we go.
Perfect.
All right. So I know it's a little small here, but anyway, but essentially there's portions of it here. Let me bring it up on my computer to read it, because I just want to go over this real quick, because there's an important here. I want to read specifically the part that benefits the Lakers, because I think that it's important. So the NBA will provide several scenarios for excused absences on missed games, including those involving regular season back-to-back scenarios. For example, the NBA will allow pre-approved designated back-to-back allowances for players who are 35 years old on opening night, LeBron, or have workloads of 34,000 regular season minutes, LeBron, or 1,000 regular season playoff games, LeBron. All right. So this is how I know when you look at these things, it is the way they broke this down is, so they don't want to, if you have one or more star players, and the way they're determining star players is if the player has made all NBA or an all-star level within the last 3 seasons.
Last 3 years, right.
Yeah, the last 3 seasons, right? So outside of that, AD made all-star in 2021, so he still falls into it. This would have been technically the last year that he falls into it, but he's still there. Bron is still there. He made all-NBA. He always makes all-star team, so that's still there. But this verbiage right here of the 34,000 regular season minutes, the 35 years of age, and 1,000 regular season / playoff combined, that's, LeBron is essentially protected in this whole thing. So I don't think it hurts the Lakers too much.
So what you're telling me, Jeff, is that LeBron and Clutch run the league because we know that imprint is in there to protect players like LeBron, and they got to protect their prime time superstars, right?
Well, it's going to be it's going to be Bron, it's going to be KD, it's going to be Chris Paul, it's going to be Steph. It's so I'm just saying, I was just speaking it from the Lakers perspective, right?
Right.
And real quick before I move on to that, what it also has in there, which is interesting, because this is basically designed to hurt the teams like Phoenix, Golden State, and the Clippers, right? The teams that got these owners that will sit these people, but the funny part about it is, so those guys are still probably going to go about their business and arrest people and just throw money at the problem. The first fine is $100,000. The second is $250,000. The third one is $1 million over each offense. So if it's $250,000, then it goes up to $1.25 million on the third offense, and then $1 million on top of that each time. So I could see Steve Ballmer saying, "Just take the money. I'd rather pay than have to."
Let me tell you something, bro. That motherfucker's about to go broke if he does this consecutive season.
Yeah, but it's punishing him. It's punishing him.
Oh man.
So, but yeah. So like I said, check out the video, and like I said, when they do announce it, I'm sure you'll break it down. We'll talk about it more.
Yes.
But it's an interesting thing, and I don't think it's out of nowhere. I think the league knew about this. I think the players knew about this. The players even knew about this. The agents knew about this. because it's the same parameters for the 65 games in the CBA. So this is all staggering for like the new TV deal and negotiations and the TV network saying, why are we going to give you all this money when you aren't playing your stars on national TV games?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. We're like, no, we're going to play them. Look, we're putting this in here. We're going to punish them. So that's what it's.
Hey, the biggest winners in all of this are the NBA fans, man, because there's no way that you should be able to pay for a primetime ticket only to have a superstar sit out when you visit. Not everybody can afford those tickets. So,
yep.
This is a win. This is when the NBA is getting better and better. They're implementing new things, a little controversial things like the play-in tournament here and there. But for the most part, I mean, Commissioner has kind of, ramped up the league, since he's gotten in here. So kudos to him for that. Now, we do got to move along here. Almost at the top of the hour. So let's just speed round. Miami Heat, pretenders, contenders, risers. How you feel about it, Jeff? They signed Thomas Bryant and Josh Richardson, and they're trying to trade for Damian Lillard.
Just because you make the finals doesn't really make you a contender. I know that sounds weird. I know it does.
No, it makes sense.
But I have them as a pretender. I always have them as a pretender. I will say though, they will be a threat to anyone in the East. I will say that right now. They could get back to the finals. They could. I don't think they will, but they could. And I've got them as a pretender. I've got them as a riser from a regular season standpoint because they lost the play-in game, right? So they were what, 9th? Or
yes,
8th, whatever they were. So I have them rising, especially if they get Dame. But I don't think getting Dame makes them a contender. Still, I don't. So I have them as a pretender, but as a riser, even though I'm only supposed to pick one, I don't think they're contending for a championship, but I think they'll be a higher seed than last year.
That's a good take. That's a fair take. Now, I will disagree with you in this sense. I think if they get Damian Lillard, they're a contender. For now, you cannot stand pat. They lose Gabe Vincent. They lost the three-point shooter, Max Strus. I think he went to Cleveland. I forgot what team he went to. They lose 2 key pieces there. You cannot stay a contender if you didn't get better while everybody else did, right? So, I do think they're a pretender right now. But if they do trade for Dame, listen, I love Dame. I've been waiting for this dude to get out of Dodge for the longest. He is full of shit. I agree with you on that, bro.
He's backed up.
But it would be nice to see this guy. He's backed up. The man's constipated at this point. But it would be nice to see him on in the Miami Heat culture under Pat Riley. I think they become a contender, man. I think they're very scary, very dangerous. Similar to when I know there's different positions and different analogies here, but similar to when they acquired Shaq and how it put him over the top. I think this Damian Lillard one would definitely put him over the top, and they become a contender instantly. But yeah, listen, man. The Portland situation with Miami is very interesting to see how far into the training camp it goes. Now let's move on to Dallas, because Dallas, there was a lot of rumors about Kyrie Irving moving maybe this offseason, and he ended up just re-signing right back. There wasn't too much interest in him. They did sign Seth Curry. They traded for Rayshawn Holmes, which I think is a good acquisition. But they lost my guy Christian Wood, who's a Laker now. How are you feeling about the Dallas Mavericks, Jeff?
Pretender. They're a pretender. I do think they have a chance of making the playoffs this year. They had a chance last year. They're a pretender, and I'm not even sure Kyrie makes it past the trade deadline in Dallas, to be honest.
Ooh, hot take.
And I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be Kyrie's fault. I'm just going to say I've just never liked the fit with him and Luka. So if that continues to be a problem, and they're 20 games into the season, they still have not figured this thing out yet. He has a very movable contract. The 3rd year is a team option. It's not max money. You can move Kyrie Irving now for value. You can. I don't care what anyone says. You can. So I think there's a decent chance that he could be traded by the trade deadline, and keep an eye on that Harden situation if that is not resolved by then.
Well, so you're saying maybe Kyrie to Philly? Wow. I hate to bring this situation back on us, man, but if the Lakers don't live up to the hype, I expect them to get involved in the Kyrie Irving rumors yet again, man.
Now, I will say that, yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Because of the way the contracts are structured and everything, we also have a lot of flexibility. So now, when opportunity meets a marriage, you have a result. And what I mean by that is, if, like you said, Kyrie's disgruntled and he wants out, he's going to ask for a specific team, and I think that specific team is going to be the Lakers again, because that was the team last.
Yeah.
And if that happens, it automatically removes all value from him, because teams are going to be like, oh, no, not again with this diva, And then I think it puts the Lakers in a situation of power. It's like, okay, we'll take him off your hands, but all you get is this, this, and this, and that's it, max. You know, so watch out for that situation as well. But I do like your Philly proposition. That is intriguing. Although I don't think Harden gets past training camp as a Sixer. If he does, I'd be shocked. And I think Joel Embiid is in danger. You know, I think for sure. If I was his agent, I'm telling Joel Embiid, hey, man, you better start packing your bag because this organization is not good.
Yeah, I mean, he just has to really get to January 15th. But the thing with the thing with the Kyrie thing is I just don't see Cuban ever trading him to the Lakers. He's just too petty. He's just too petty. There'd have to be something, I don't know. There'd have to be extenuating circumstances for that to happen. Right. Outside of that, however, I will say Kyrie's contract lines up perfectly with the Lakers' timeline because his third year is a team option. The Lakers wouldn't have any interest in that third year because that summer of 26 they're locked in on. So he would never see his third year here. Like he would either opt out or they would trade him because they want that the summer of Giannis is a real thing, and the Lakers are all lined up for that. The only the only big money on the books is AD. The others are the role players that will still be there if they're not moved via trade. So they're perfectly lined up for that. That's why I said the Trae Young deal will never happen, is because they're not about to risk a chance at Giannis for Trae Young. It's not about Trae Young. It's about Giannis. And
I'll say this. If LeBron snaps his fingers and does his clutch dance, it's going to happen, brother. If he says, I want Trae Young here.
I don't think so. Man. I think they moved on from that. I think they moved on from it. Yeah,
I hope they moved on from it because I'd rather keep the.
Yeah, I don't see it because I'm telling you, at the end of the day, 2026 is a major goal for theirs, and I don't think
I agree.
They're jeopardizing it for anyone.
Who else is a free agent then? Is it just Giannis?
Oh man, the list is crazy, man. It's Giannis. I know Jimmy's older, but Jimmy's on there. Tatum, technically, if he doesn't sign his extension, is then like there are
that's another name to look out for, man.
2026 has potential to be 2010. For those who don't know, like that was the decision year. And you had Braun, Wade, Bosch, like you had a monster, Amari Stoudemire, who at the time was a good player. Like 2010 was a monster free agent class. So was 1996. So, but 2026 is if things line up accordingly. If this only happens if extensions don't get signed for a lot of these guys.
Right. Yeah, man, and I do predict that Giannis has a great opportunity to become a Laker here, and we have AD here. Can you imagine that tandem there with whoever's left? Oh my goodness, that would be insane. But I agree with you. Dallas is a pretender for the same reason you mentioned, and for reason number 2, fuck Mark Cuban. I hope he never succeeds again in this league, man. Not a fan of his. But I'll tell you, Kyrie is intriguing. I watch out for Kyrie. Let's see if he becomes a moving piece this trade deadline. Now, moving on past the Dallas Mavericks. Indiana Pacers. Okay, I think this is an easy one. They signed Bruce Brown, right? That was their big acquisition, champion. Traded for Obi Toppin, and they drafted a draft pick that I really like, Jarris Walker. It's a nice young player that I like. Tyrese Halliburton looking to make take a step. Are they a riser, man? How you feel about them?
They're a riser. I think they're going to move up with everything you just mentioned. I think Bruce Brown is a good addition to them. The draft pick was a good addition to them. Obi, Halliburton there. Halliburton and Buddy and Miles Turner all play well together. So Miles Turner had his best offensive year last year of his career playing with Halliburton. So him and Buddy are really close. So I could see them rising. I could see them causing a problem in the play in our first round, but not getting much further than that. But definitely not a contender, but a riser for sure. I think. They had some good games last year. They had some health issues, but when Turner came back, and was playing with Halliburton, he was putting up points. He's known more as a defender in a stretch big, but he was actually putting up points. His defense slipped because he was more focused on offense. So, riser.
I agree. And a name to watch out for is also a riser within the team, Benedict Mathurin, who had a very good year, and now they cleared up minutes. They let go of Chris Duarte, and they cleared up space for this guy. He's a tremendous athlete, man. It's going to be fun to watch him with Halliburton and everybody we mentioned already. So I agree, man. They're a riser, and they're going to be a fun team to watch on if you have League Pass. All right, the team I don't want to talk about, but let's just give a quick little rundown. The Los Angeles Stinkers, man, the Clippers. All right, they traded for KJ Martin, and that's it. They got KJ Martin and 2 retirement home players in Kawhi and Paul George. How you feel about them, man?
Pretenders. I mean, this is not even hate. Like if this was a healthy team, Even though, I'm not a Clipper fan and it's fun talking trash, I would be real about it. And I would call them a contender. I would. They've got a contending roster. They just don't have a contending realization. So right now, I do believe that Ballmer is too impatient to just sit on this. I think something is going to happen, whether it's the Harden deal or something else. Something is going to happen. They're going to make a move. I just don't know what it is. I know that they got close a couple of times to moving Paul George around the draft. I know that for a fact. They were comfortable with a couple scenarios. Didn't happen. They just couldn't pull the trigger on it. And that's another one that if these extensions don't get signed, I know Ballmer was on his podcast today, but if these extensions don't get signed, things get real interesting real soon. But I got him as a pretender just because they got to prove to me and the rest of the league they can be healthy. These guys are going to play games. And even if they're healthy most of the season and they get a top 5 seed, do you really trust those knees to last in the playoffs? And that's the real question. I don't wish injury on no team, even ones that annoy me, but I got to see it to believe it. So pretender.
All right. Looks like my mic was muted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I agree, man. Pretender every year, man, it's going to be that way until they prove anything at all, right? And that's getting out of the West. To me, they're pretenders for multiple reasons. One, the only player I truly trust on that team, and I don't even trust him now due to health issues, but just based off of his, resume, is Kawhi Leonard, right? You don't trust Paul George. You don't trust any of the role players. They haven't accomplished anything. For those reasons, even if they were healthy, for me, they're pretenders. Now, as far as it's just the Clippers, man. It's the Clippers are going to clip every year, and it's going to be the same outcome every year. And their fans are going to throw a little party around December when they beat us during the regular season every year. And then, the reality is going to smack them in the face when we finish.
I think we get them this year, though. I think we get them.
I think so, too. Our depth is second to none right now.
We got wings now, so.
Yeah, for sure. But let's just say, even if they win, this is usually what they do. They throw parades at around December, while the Lakers throw parades when it counts, right? So that's interesting there. What's going to happen with the Clippers? I think they're better off rebuilding. They messed up trading for Paul George for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and it didn't pay off. The gamble didn't pay off because they don't have a single championship to show for it, while our gamble paid off when we traded for AD because we have a championship to show for it. So that's the difference there between both LA teams. But what else is new, right? Let's move on to New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans, man. They signed Cody Zeller. They lose Jackson Hayes. But hopefully they get a healthy Zion because, man, the league has been starving to see what this kid can do with Brandon Ingram when healthy, and they haven't had that. What do you think about them? Are they risers or are they just standing pat? How you feel about them?
Pretenders, standing pat. So I look at the Pelicans like I look at the Clippers. Their two biggest question marks are Zion and Ingram. And anyone who just saw Ingram play in FIBA, good God.
Yeah.
This guy struggles playing alongside other star level players. So even if Zion comes back healthy and looking great, BI might disappear. So, and are you going to trust Zion to stay healthy? And are you going to trust Zion to stay engaged? Like, it's just, the Pelicans are a team like Minnesota, like the Clippers. They should be so much better than they are, but they routinely and continually just continue to be who they are. And that's pretenders. And they're fun when they got it going and they go on stretches. But then they go on awful stretches of like 15 games of not being able to do anything. So I've got them as pretenders. If Zion can't stay healthy and BI continues to be hurt, they may not even make the playoffs. I think we lost you.
Absolutely, brother. I agree with you, man. I think the Pelicans for sure Williamson situation. So that's him. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out there. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just stabilize my internet, man. For some reason, I don't know. Spectrum is the worst, man. Spectrum is the worst. I'll tell you that.
You wanna go and come back in? I can answer some of these questions in the chat real quick.
Yeah,
if that'll work. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. I'll go and go over some of these questions. I won't be able to pull them up on the screen, but I'll talk to them.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. If you guys got any questions, go and throw them in the chat right now. I won't be able to put them on the screen, but I'll try to respond to them here. Just give Dan a second. He's having some technical difficulties, some internet nightmares here. And let's see. PG-13 to New York. Let's see. Holy shit. I'm big on the screen now. PG 13 to New York for Julius Randle and picks. I don't know if New York would do that deal. I'm sorry. I don't know if the Clippers would do that deal. New York would do that deal in a second to get a chance to get Paul George and get rid of Julius Randle's contract and picks. Yeah, I think they would definitely do that. TBS backup said Lakers 59-23. Yo, that's ambitious. I love the confidence, but I think the maximum amount of victories the Lakers will get will be 55. I got them at 55 wins, and I thought that was ambitious. But shout out to you. Let's see. This season, Lakers 56-26, Clippers 40-42. Like I said, I had mine around 55. Clippers, if healthy, I can see them being a 50-win team. I just don't know if they're gonna be healthy. That's a tough one to see right there. How about for PG for Julius and RJ? Okay, maybe now you might be getting there. I will tell you this: that around the draft, that the Knicks and Clippers were talking about a Paul George deal. That was in discussions. So I don't know how far it went, but it definitely happened here. So let's see. Pacers are risers. Yes, I agree. OKC has no vet leadership. I mean, Shai is getting to vet level. I mean, he's getting up there. They do have Oladipo over there. He's not going to play, but he's a vet. So I think they do got some vets over there. We good? You back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, there we go. We're good. We good.
Man, that Spectrum Internet, man. I'll tell you, they owe me some money. Man. I need a refund on that because I'm supposed to have 500 megs, and this looked like half a meg going on. All right. But yeah, let's continue with where were we? I think the last thing we did was the Clippers, wasn't it? No, it was the
Pelicans. We left it on the Pelicans. Yeah.
Okay.
Houston, what was your take on the? What was your take? Because that's what it was putting out.
My take on the Pelicans is I agree, man. The thing is that they're extremely immature still, man, in every way, and it shows off the court what's gone on with Zion this offseason. And as far as Brandon Ingram, he hasn't taken the next step that everybody's been waiting on him to take. Right? He shows flashes. He was tremendous in the postseason at times, but like you said, that USA outing was very discouraging because you expect him to be able to play both on and off the ball in order to coexist with a player like Zion Williamson, and he was not effective at all off ball. It was almost like he went ghost, right? So hopefully he's not one of these players that needs to put the ball in the bucket in order to give his best effort, but that's what it looked like on Team USA, right? So I'll say they're definitely pretenders, and I don't even see them as risers because I don't see much improvement unless by some miracle chance Zion can stay healthy all season long, and that hasn't happened throughout his career. So we'll see.
They can go back. They can go backwards. I mean, like I said,
yeah,
they can
for sure. Definitely a chance of that. The Houston Rockets, brother, are they risers at the very least? Oh, you saw what happened with Kevin Porter Jr. Yet another mishap going on there, man. They just had a nightmarish type season, and their biggest acquisition was Dylan Brooks, who, by the way, had a tremendous outing for Canada and over there overseas. But will it be enough? Oh, and Fred VanVleet. I forgot about Fred VanVleet.
Yeah. I was about to say, adding VanVleet and Dylan Brooks to their young core, you can say what you want about Dylan Brooks, but that's a veteran pickup, even though he's a pain in the ass. VanVleet is a good stabilizer, too. I think if you add two veterans like that, I think you rise. I don't see them making the playoffs, but I don't see them as a bottom two team. Maybe because the West is so deep. It's so hard because even the teams that were trash added people. When you look about who's above them,
yeah. So true.
Okay, I will say this. Because this is where it gets difficult. I will say they're going to be a riser in talent and competitiveness. I just don't know if they'll be a riser in record because of the people above them. And there are literally 12 to 13 teams who can make the playoffs, play in the West.
Right.
Rockets, one of them. But I think they will be better than last year.
That's a good take. That's a good take for sure. I'm actually going to take them as risers here because there's only one way they can go up. After the horrid season they had last year, plus Ime Udoka, man, I think he's a very good coach. I think he's proven that with the Boston Celtics, and I think that was their biggest acquisition. Even though I do like some of the offseason acquisitions, I completely forgot about Fred VanVleet. That happened so early in the offseason that it was overshadowed by everything else that happened. But that's a pretty interesting acquisition there. He's a veteran, he's proven. So let's see how he steps in there and how he meshes well with his veteran leadership there for Green, right? I think Green has tons of potential, but he's always been a mature and they haven't had a real leader, but hopefully this year that changes for them. So yeah, for sure a riser for me. Yeah. But in the West, you're not going to be a contender anytime soon because it's just everybody who is they're well rounded, right?
Yeah, it's tough to call. So they're a riser, but their record
Yeah.
won't show it. Is I guess
Right.
is what I'm gonna say, because like there's really everyone above them is technically a riser. So they'll be
That's true.
better, but they're not going to be better record wise. They'll be more competitive. They will be better. They'll be funner to watch, but they're not going to be better record wise. They're not threatening a play in my opinion, unless they do something crazy and shock people.
Absolutely, I agree. Good take. Let's go with Brooklyn Nets. All right, Brooklyn Nets. Now
We're Brooklyn at.
Well, they signed Dennis Smith Jr. and Lonnie Walker, our very own, who I think is going to have a breakout season there if they let the reins go. Now Mikal Bridges. I always butcher his name. I call him Michael. It's Mikal Bridges, man, and Cam Johnson. I think they're going to be good quality players for them. Do you see them as a riser? Definitely not a contender. They can't be a contender. Can't be.
Definitely not a contender. The opposite of Brandon Ingram was Mikal Bridges on Team USA. Like he looked great, and he continues to find his way as being a top 2 to 3 player on a team. Not a top player on a championship team. He's not the best player on a championship team. But if Mikal Bridges is your second or third team, your best player, you can get to the finals like you did in Phoenix, right? So they need a 1 and a 2. Because like I said, I don't even think Mikal's a number 2 guy on a chip team, maybe 2.5, right? So because you don't have that guy, they're well positioned to go get that guy if they wanted to, but it would have to cost them a guy like Mikal and some of that you gave up for KD. So they finished 6th last year, right? In the East, they finished 6th, but a lot of that was on the strength of Kyrie and KD going on a really good streak before that Kyrie trade demand happened. So even though they made the playoffs, I'm not sure they would have if they started the season with that team.
Right.
So outside of that, I will say a whole training camp together. They've got some chemistry. The way Bridges played in Team USA. Man, I'm hedging towards riser, like barely.
Okay.
But just because I feel like I have the Knicks falling a little bit and Brooklyn rising a little bit. Yeah. So I would call them a slight riser. I mean, just as slight as you can get.
Right. Yeah, it's tough there for them. Obviously, they didn't have any big splashes in the offseason. Their big splash was at the trade deadline last season. And but I like everything you mentioned. The one name that gets lost in the sauce is Ben Simmons. And can he ever recoup the form that he had in Philly, right? Because he was at least a good passer and defender in Philly. If he ever can, then I think they're going to be an interesting team to watch on off Laker days. But it's not somebody I will definitely not lose sleep over as far as rising or not. But their talent, the young talent is intriguing. They got a nice couple of draft picks, so that is good in going for them. I think, I agree with you. Slight riser. It's right on the mark, man. You hit it on the head with that. But yeah, it's sad what has happened over the last couple of seasons to Ben Simmons and how he has regressed both mentally and physically, right, with his health. So that's sad to see.
I will say real quick that being on a team without a clear star, no KD, no Kyrie, no Joel, if he's healthy physically, I think that he could be in for a pretty good year, because he's gonna have the ball and his defense is still going to be there. And right. if you get a 10-game stretch of him playing decent and he gets his confidence up, that we could see Philly Ben Simmons again potentially. I'm really hoping we do. Like, I don't want to see a guy go out like that. Me
too, man. It's
kind
of sad what happened. Especially because this is a guy who wanted to be a Laker. My guy Ben said Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons 2.0 might happen. I'm pulling for him. I want to speak it into existence, and I would love to see Brooklyn cause some havoc in the East. We need some more teams that aren't in the toilet in the East. You know what I mean? So I think he's gonna have a good year. I really do. Very true. Let's hope for the best there. The Orlando Magic is a team that intrigues me a lot, man. They signed Joe Ingles. They drafted one of my favorite young players, Anthony Black. Watch out for him. And Jet Howard. I think both of those were very intriguing steals. They were surprisingly, competent. They competed last year, right? And some of the games that the record didn't really show it, right? But after a rocky start, the team went 21-24 over his final 45 games, and it showed some promise there with obviously the rookie of the year, Paolo Banchero, right, who shined for them. They got Wendell Carter Jr. They got Franz Wagner, one of the hottest names overseas right now. What is the second, third year player already? Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony. So they got some pieces there. Do you see them as a riser? The Orlando Magic.
Yeah, I see them rising a little bit. I think Banchero's going to get better. I think I like the 2 rookies they got. I like all the players you mentioned. The Magic gave teams some problems. Like they can continuously beat up on top teams. Like the Celtics hated facing them. So right. I think if I don't have them obviously scaring anyone, but I got them as a riser, potential play-in for sure next year. I think I've got them probably a little bit below Indiana, but they're right behind them in the rising, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. They're risers, man. They got one of the hottest young players in the game right now. He's coming in red hot from Team USA. I thought he showed out there, man. And also, he's one of these players that looks like is going to be a transcendent talent for years to come, right? Yeah. You're talking about a mobile forward who can space the floor, supremely athletic, and can actually play defense, right? So, while Blake Griffin is the comparison they use with him, but I'll say, to me, this guy might be a better face-up guy and a better defender than Blake Griffin ever was.
Even though bigger than people think. Too,
yeah, even though Blake Griffin, was a superior athlete, that's about all he has on him as far as that comparison goes. But outside of that, I mean, Banchero's so well-rounded, man, and the Magic definitely made the right choices. Remember, in that draft, there was a couple players that they had going ahead of him, right? And so far, so good for them. So I'm excited to see what they can do.
They almost did Jabari Smith.
Jabari Smith. And who was the other one?
It was Jabari Smith.
That was another player. I forgot his name already, but they had him, touted highly.
Yeah, I forgot
over him. Yeah.
But they switched it in like the final 30 minutes prior to the draft. Someone said no, you can't do this.
apparently the workouts were legendary for him.
Yeah,
and he really improved and impressed them. So I've always been intrigued by the fact that they weigh a player's whole collegiate and high school career versus a couple of workouts, and sometimes the workouts win. I've always been impressed. So I wonder what kind of elite workouts the NBA has them running through. Like they got them playing superstars and shit. Like what's going on, right? Like
a lot of it, honestly, Dan. Though a lot of it is the interview. Like a lot of it. So I'm gonna tell you real quick. So Jabari Smith went on just about every radio show out there, interviewing, saying he doesn't care where he gets picked. He just wants to be drafted. And then literally every show he would change his story up a little bit, slightly. Right. So the media training wasn't there. That alone, teams are be like, we don't know. And then when he didn't get drafted, number 1 overall, he went ballistic and just undid everything he said, trying to be PC, right? Everything he said, like he was bashing them. They're gonna regret this. Like I'm gonna go out there try. And the guy's like, I thought you didn't care where you went. So it's so the interviews mean a lot because they ask you questions that they already know the answer to. They want to see how you answer it. And did you remember the Dejounte Murray interview where he was talking about the Spurs talked to his high school janitor? Like
that's crazy.
These teams really do their homework, and if they know you're lying to them, they're like, oh no, So the interview is just as important as the workout.
That's very true, man. Good point. And the thing about an interview is you got to understand these GMs and these coaches. They talk to so many players around the NBA. They know what a star looks like and sounds like, in the making, even the confidence and all. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think that was one of the things why we also drafted D'Angelo Russell over Jahlil Okafor. I heard he blew us away in the interview process, and it ended up being a good pick.
Yeah, it was I remember the story. Dinner for game 2 of the NBA Finals 2015. And it was supposed to be like a 30-minute interview, but they ended up ordering dinner and he stayed the whole night. They watched the whole game. He broke down the game. He was just predicting plays before it happened. Like he just really impressed them to the fact that they kept him there for like 5 hours as opposed to like an hour. Right. So that right there, that locked in the pick for them. They had him all night and just like they fell in love with him.
Really cool little pieces of nugget right there, man. To understand how the league works, right? It's not just about the body work in college, but the whole draft process, the whole thing. All right, moving on, man. We got 8 teams left. Let's go with the Utah Jazz. They traded for John Collins, which is one of my favorite young players in the league. And
I like John.
They drafted Keontae George, who might be the steal of the draft. All right, Keontae George, tremendous. I'm not sure if he won MVP of Summer League, but he was tremendous. All right, he was up there for sure. And man, talk to me about the Utah Jazz.
Utah, I think, has a chance to be a lot what they did to start the season last year. I think they might catch people by surprise. I think they will continue to get better. I just don't know if Danny's going to let them. So Danny Ainge, and who knows, maybe some of those end up on the Lakers, right? Because he seems to have a great relationship with Pelinka.
Yes.
But I guess it depends on how many more. One thing you need to learn about Danny Ainge from all his years as a GM is that he loves to hoard draft picks and he loves small guards. Those are his two poisons. So if they start off well, and maybe if he's thinking maybe marketing isn't something he wants for 5 years, and he is at this highest point of value right now, and he wants to get another lottery pick and could potentially get a couple picks for him on a player, then maybe that happens. I'm not saying it will, and I'm not saying I would do it. But as far as Danny's history goes, if he wants to get into the lottery and wants to increase his chances, then marketing might have to go. But it all depends. It depends. We'll see how it goes. He also has a very good young coach, and I'm sure he doesn't want to continue to I don't want to use the word sabotage, but necessarily hold them back. Maybe he allows them to be competitive and then, does something later on. But I just don't know what Danny's going to do. But if they stand pat, and I want to be clear about that, if they stand pat, I have them as a riser.
Yeah. Absolutely agree. This is my sleeper team in the NBA this year. I think they can, like you said, catch a lot of teams by surprise. They drafted extremely well. They have done a great job of replenishing, their two max contracts with just young talent and tremendous young talent. What's up, Angie? Tremendous young talent. I mean,
What's up,
for Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, they got Lauri Markkanen. They got Walker Kessler, who was a Rookie of the Year candidate last year. Obviously, they just added John Collins. They already had Jordan Clarkson in place. Oh my God, they just got just so much size, athleticism, versatility on that team. It's going to be a fun team to watch, and watch out for them. They're going to be a tough outing every night, especially when our Lakers face them. They tend to take us into overtime, deep into the waters, man.
God, that game, still annoying.
Yeah, but that's the type of team they are. They've always been like that, especially when you play them in Utah. So. Watch out for the Utah Jazz, my sleeper for sure. Chicago Bulls, Shy City, man, one of the biggest question mark teams. We know they've been just plagued with injuries, especially Lonzo Ball, who hasn't got an opportunity there, man, since he got traded. They signed Javon Carter, Torrey Craig, and they lose Patrick Beverley. But they still have Zach, last I checked, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikolai Vucevic, and some solid role players. How you feel about Chicago?
Pretender. I think Vucevic was signed to basically move him. There wasn't a huge market out there for him in free agency. They can keep the asset and not lose all they gave up to get him and trade when they made that movement from him from Orlando. I'm not sure he makes it past the trade deadline there. So I'm not sure a lot of players make it past the trade deadline there. I've got them as pretenders, and I got them as their own little Shopify store come February, man.
Yeah. Yo, let me tell you something about Shy City, man. They've been pretenders for a long time, man. Even when they had Derrick Rose, as fun as that team was to watch, they just never had to find the pieces to get them over the top.
They've been a pretender since '98.
Yeah, they have. Hate to break it to these Bulls fans, but that's exactly the truth. And this is a team that has a lot of fun young players, but they should have blew it up last year, in my opinion. They should have blew it up. And it's always the teams that hold on a year late that end up getting minimal to no value in return for their pieces. So,
hi, Portland.
You got to know exactly when is the time to pull the trigger. And it's one of those things where they're in no man's land right now. Let's do the Atlanta Hawks, man. This is a team that traded John Collins, right? They signed Rudy Gay, Ty Washington, Usman, and Garuba. All right. Now, Atlanta, they fell very short of expectations, obviously, last season. They went 500. It's a team that a couple of seasons they're removed from getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, right? But where do you see them now this year, man, and moving forward?
They had a bad season last year. I don't necessarily love their roster. I don't love a lot about their team, but I'm going to call them a riser because of full training camp and full season with Quinn Snyder. So I'm going to call them a riser. They're better than they were last year. They had the coaching drama. As much as John Collins and Trae Young didn't really ever, they didn't get along really. Like they should have been a lot better together than they were. The type of player that Trae is and the type of player that Collins is, they should have been better together. I think you may see a better version of Collins in Utah because of that. I like Collins. I was hoping the Lakers had a chance at him at the trade deadline last year.
Me too.
So I will say that I got him as a riser just because of Quinn Snyder and because there's no coaching drama this year. This is going to be a big year for Trae Young. There's some narratives he's got to change. He wasn't even invited to Team USA. He was labeled a coach killer. He's got to turn his reputation around. And I think he might do that this year. So there'll be a riser for me. Not a contender, not a pretender, but a riser.
Okay. I'm gonna differentiate a little bit, man. I actually think they're a pretender. They got rid of John Collins. I think they got worse this offseason. DeJounte Murray and Trae Young didn't really work out like we thought they were. And they were looking tremendous preseason, and then regular season hit, and it was different. They both needed the ball in their hands to be effective, and they were just kind of taking turns instead of playing together, right? Which I think is like one game, somebody will have a good game, next game, somebody else. But I love Trae Young. I hope he gets traded somewhere good, and I see them as a pretender because I don't think he's going to last the whole season even. I think he will request a trade at some point.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that portion of it.
And I'll tell you this. I'm a big fan of Trae Young. I would love for him to be a Laker, but I know it's not realistic, and I prefer to keep our depth as far as that goes. I love our team as is right now. But yeah, we'll see what happens there with Atlanta. They are a pretender to me. Snyder's a good coach, but they just don't have the pieces. I mean, I'm looking at their roster, and I'm like, who's their second best player after Trae Young, right? Is it DeJounte Murray? Is it Clint Capella? Who is it, right? I don't even know, to be honest. So
I think it's got to be Murray, and that's probably a problem.
Yeah. So your two guards are your best players, and and your wings are okay, but your big man is he's a rebounding machine. That's it, And
let me ask you something.
Yeah.
If you're the Knicks, and Donovan is not on the table, would you do a package centered around Brunson for obviously there'll be other pieces and picks because Knicks got a lot of picks and they've got fillers and they've got Brunson. Would you Atlanta's looking to move one guy and get 3 or 4 pieces plus picks? The Knicks could do that. If you're the Knicks, would you do that?
I am. I would absolutely do it. If I said I am the Knicks.
I am the Knicks. Say that joke as Rose, I am the Knicks.
I am the Knicks. No, bro, listen. I would do it if I'm the Knicks, and this is why. Because if I do that now, I probably have the star in place to try to entice Joel Embiid. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason I'm doing it because players like Joel Embiid, they won't go somewhere unless you have a star in place. They this buddy ball league. Nobody's trying to carry the Knicks by themselves. So I promise you, if you move the need, and of course Trae Young by himself will put butts on seats. I mean, he showed he's prime time, right? So you put him there.
He's better than.
Oh yeah, for sure, and clutcher, and he's been there, man. He's been further into the water. So I think absolutely, you got to do it, and that's a good proposition. I didn't think of that, man, but. Trae Young is kind of like, imagine going from being the most hated in New York to the most loved. That would be crazy, man. Mm-hmm. That would be a Cinderella story right there for sure. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Atlanta. Watch out for Trae Young. Definitely a name to watch out for during the trade deadline. Toronto Raptors, man. We're 5 teams away, brother. We're almost done. We're almost there.
All good.
5 teams away. T-Dot, Toronto. All right. Now, they lose Fred VanVleet. They signed Dennis Schroeder, who had a tremendous offseason. Obviously, he's the world champ, but I mean, that's what they're saying is the definition of world champ. So we'll give it to him. But definitely respect. He did that. And what do you think of the Toronto Raptors? Have they improved at all?
They're tough to call because you got Siakam about to be a free agent and they're far apart on talks. He may get traded. OG, they've almost traded over the last 2 years. This team could get blown up. I don't think they weren't that good last year. They were good as far as like their defense and passing lanes, and they gave teams trouble. But they just blew games too many times, and I think they're worse this year. And I think they're going to trade some of their top players. My light is getting crazy. They're going to trade some of their top players. So I got them. They're pretenders. They're pretenders. I don't see them rising. Definitely not a contender. And I think Siakam might go and OG might go, and those are big subtractions for them.
Yeah, I'll tell you, they're definitely pretenders. I don't have them as risers either because I've never been a huge fan of Scotty Barnes. I know he's good, but I think he had his best season, his rookie season, man. To be honest with you, now maybe if they cut ties with some of those other wings, then maybe he will shine a little bit more. But to me, he's a hustle heart type of player. You know what I'm saying? The skill set he brings. It's in spurts, right? He knocks down shots in spurts, but at times he can't hit the side of the backboard. You know what I'm saying? Like he's that type of player. I wouldn't, put in football terms, put my franchise tag on him because I don't feel like he's the player you build around. So if I'm the Raptors, I'm actually looking to rebuild from scratch, because I really don't see a franchise player there right now. If I'm being quite frank, I see a bunch of pieces and I see some good young talent and definitely some depth at the wing position, but it's just nobody there that I would say, okay, I can pull all my eggs in this basket and say, you're the next in line, right, to carry us forward.
I agree with.
Yeah.
And if they decided to blow that up, like they could get a heck of a return because they'd be all split up, right? Siakam to one team, OG to one team, sell high on Scotty Barnes. Like you could get a star. Like, make sure you guys understand what I'm saying. I'm not getting crazy here. A star level return when you combine the returns individually. Like you could potentially get a star level return for all three of those from three separate trades. When you add it all up, you could get a star level return. And I agree with you. There's nothing on that roster that says, okay, I can build this for the next 10 years. So sell high and get something. There's a good GM over there. And if you got these assets, it's not a free agent destination. So you got to have good draft picks and be able to make trades like he did with Kawhi, right? And like he did with Gasol. And like he did with Ibaka. So
they got to be on the same plan that the San Antonio Spurs were on the last couple of years, where it was straight sellers until they found the pieces they wanted, like Sohan to keep, pieces like that. And now they got their main piece, right? So that's what I'm doing. If I'm the Raptors, you're sellers, they got to get on the OKC Thunder plan, right? Which is try to maximize everything and get the maximum value in assets and returns. Barnes, I like him. Like I said, if you got to keep him cool. But if that's the piece that's going to get you a future better piece, then I'm moving everybody, man. There's really no untouchables on that team that I can see as a GM and say, okay, he's untouchable or he's untouchable. No, he had a great rookie season, but I think, similar to players like Tyreek Evans in the past, like Michael Carter-Williams, their best season ends up being their rookie season, right? So you really have to watch out for those type of players. It's fool's gold sometimes.
They're very similar paths. You're spot on with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's my take on the Toronto Raptors, and there's no hate. I love Toronto fans. I love Canadians. It's just I'm letting y'all know, man. I want better for y'all because you guys won that championship. Y'all did that right a couple years back, but now I feel like the rebuild, like y'all try to stay competitive, and that kind of might hurt you moving forward. You don't want to be in the middle of nowhere road team, right?
Not in this NBA, no.
So let's talk about the Spurs, man. One of the most intriguing teams in the NBA because of the French Tower. All right. He is going to be intriguing. Obviously, League Pass, must watch TV. The San Antonio Spurs, right? So they draft Victor Wembanyama. I was calling him Wemby. Arguably one of the top prospects we've seen since LeBron, right? Is what they're calling him. So the pressure's on. And then the real question is going to be, can the Spurs actually compete? Are they risers, or what would you call them, Jeff?
See, so my thing is this, like similar to Houston, there's not much room for them to rise because everyone above them is either rising or encroaching on contender, right? And may not be contenders, but they're a lot closer to contenders than the Spurs are, and the Spurs would have to pass them up to be considered risers, right? So my thing for when I'm talking about Houston and I'm talking about San Antonio specifically, I will label them a riser in talent and a riser in competitive, but I don't have them a riser as far as becoming a playing team or being a playoff team. So San Antonio, they're going to be better, and I think that Pop they won't be blatantly tanking. I think they're going to want to play and get him real minutes. Other games he'll sit, but when he actually plays, I think they're going to go all in. So I have them. It's just a weird one. It's like riser light, right? I think they're going to be riser. They're better than they were last year, obviously, but they're not going to rise above a lot of the teams that were ahead of them last year, standings wise, just like similar to Houston.
So let me ask you this. If you had to bet the house on it, right? You go to Vegas, you put the house on it. Who do you think is going to have a better season, the Spurs or the Rockets?
Spurs.
Because of their head coach?
Because of their head coach, and because I think their record would have been better. They kind of genetically, they like made that record. You know what I mean? They let me tell you this. There are teams who use analytics to win, and believe it or not, there are teams who use analytics to lose. And the Spurs analytically set themselves up to lose. But they still got that same brain that got them the losses they want, now converting towards wins. So they will get 5 to 7 wins just off being smarter than everyone else. So outside of that, they'll be better than they will be better than Houston because they've got the better coach, and their best player, even their best upcoming player, is better than anything Houston has.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Well, that's a good take. However, I will say this. I think the Rockets will be slightly better because of the veterans they added this offseason, right? And when I look at the Spurs, I don't see too many super impactful veterans over there. But for those reasons only, you could be right. I mean, Greg Pop is clearly runs laps around, Udoka. But he'll hold his own, and I do think the Rockets are going to improve. That is going to be interesting to follow along to see who has a better season between those two.
And we'll be watching because, like I said, we're gonna be in, and there's going to be a lot of those games because who's not going to want to see Wemby, right? We want to see if the hype is real when the wins count.
Man, I just hope he stays healthy, bro. That's all.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Hopefully he doesn't go all Aaron Rodgers on us, man. First couple of games.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting, man, to see what happens there with the Spurs. Charlotte Hornets, another intriguing name. They decide to go with Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson, right? Which is, I think, going to be a very controversial pick for years to come. I love me some Scoot. They lose Dennis Smith Jr., but really, it's one of those teams that's just there, man. I mean, they're fun to watch whenever they're healthy with LaMelo Ball. But LaMelo's kind of similar to his brother. They eat is macaroni and cheese all day and night, and they don't take care of their body, and they're always getting hurt, man. It's tough. How you feel about them?
I think they'll be a riser, just for the simple fact that Michael Jordan sold the team, and he just was a terrible GM, terrible owner.
My goodness,
so they'll be a riser just off that. If Melo is healthy, they'll be a riser. Bridges is back. I think LaMelo did get a little taller. I think she's right.
He did for real?
I think so. Well, I haven't seen him, but I heard someone say that the other day. I don't remember what publication it was, but someone said it.
Okay.
And then so I think they would have been better last year if Melo didn't end up basically missing most of the year, because of injury, and Bridges back. And that's speaking of League Pass, that's one of the funnest announcing crews and funnest things to watch. They go ballistic.
Yeah, I love that guy, man.
Game. Yeah, it's borderline Rucker Park at times, right? Like it's amazing. So for those who don't have League Pass, I'm telling you right now, like the league thinks they're slick because everyone's pirating and watching illegal games and illegal internet sites and all this stuff. So they lowered the cost of League Pass to like $99.
Yeah,
and it's a steal. It's a steal. Just for the classic games you get to watch alone. Trust me. But yeah, the League Pass.
Not only that,
amazing.
But let me plug myself in here, Jeff. Not only that, but if you have a League Pass, you can follow along, and you could definitely join Prize Picks, guys, because it's no better way to watch games than League Pass plus my sponsorship, Prize Picks. 100% deposit match, guaranteed with promo code Dtlf. So make sure you guys do join in on the fun, guys. I just wanted to plug it in there, man. But League Pass it just changes the way you watch games, bro.
It does. And you should be plugging that like every 15 minutes. I'm going to remind you. I'm being annoying and start doing it. But no, for real. League Pass is amazing. You're going to see us watching a lot of them together this season, especially when it's non-Laker nights. We like to zero in and scout, but we're going to be scouting teams and players right here with you guys. And that's going to be really fun and great. Dan's taking his channel to the next level this year, and I'm just happy to be along for the ride, man. So it's going to be
and so is Jeff.
Fun.
And so is Jeff. If it's not on this channel, it'll be on that channel. So definitely subscribe to Empire Jeff TV, man, because we got hoops year round. You're not going to miss a beat. Every day there should be content. If it ain't on this channel, it'll be on that channel. So like I said, subscribe to him. Show love, fam, because he's been killing it this summer. And if it's an indication of what's to come this year, oh, my goodness, man, sign me up for some Empire Jeff TV. Like I said, it's this empire. We just all living in it. Trust me.
Thank you.
Trust me. But all right, moving on to the next team, the Washington Wizards, man. Washington Wizards, Kuzma's team. Or is it Jordan Poole's team? Or is it like, whose team is it, man? The battle of the mids is coming up in Washington, man. They traded Bradley Beal, obviously, Kristaps Porzingis, and then Chris Paul as well, right, who they had traded for. Then they released him. They add Jordan Poole, Landry Shamet, Danilo Gallinari, and they drafted Bilal Coulibaly, which is just fun to say, Coulibaly. Coulibaly. So what do you think of that team, man? The Washington Wizards. Jordan
It's hard to think they're going to be better when you get rid of Bradley Beal, Porzingis, who had a really good year last year, believe it or not. I also don't know, like players like Gallinari and some of those guys. I don't even think they last a year there. I think they get moved to a contending team. So I'm Pretenders. I think they're going to be worse than last year. You're going to have Poole and Kuzma just chucking up shots out there. And I like Tyus Jones. I think Tyus Jones was the best backup point guard in the league next year. He's now a starting point guard. We got to see how that plays out. New situation, new team, new role. Sometimes the best backup point guard in the league does not transition well to a starting point guard, although he did play well when Ja was out. We'll see how that goes. But I've got them as pretenders being worse than they were last year.
Okay, I agree. Yeah, for sure, pretenders. I can't wait to see Kuzma hopefully get his wings. I want him to become the leader of that team. It might not be offensively, but defensively, rebounding, and just mixing it up, right? But I think they're going to hand the keys off to Jordan Poole and just say, go get us 40 shots a night. They're just going to want to, sell tickets because he's a very fun player to watch when he's in his right state of mind, when he's not getting knocked out and stuff, So it'll be intriguing to see what happens there. But moving on to another.
Well, go ahead. Real quick. I will say this. Kuzma, no way, shape, or form finishes his contract there, though. No way.
I agree. I think he's too good of a player to waste his career away.
He got his bag. He's about
at some point. And it's in their best interest to get maximum return as well. I mean, he's worth it. He's worth it.
Year to a year and a half. He's out of there.
He's a 20-10 player on a bad team and a 16-8 player on a good team. Mm-hmm. So that's still worth the trade for sure. Moving on, man. Final two teams. Detroit Pistons. Let's go there first, man. They traded for Monte Morris and Joe Harris, and they drafted Asar Thompson, who's one of the sleepers here in this draft. But it could be a really fun team if Cade Cunningham could stay healthy, obviously. They have James Wiseman from the Golden State Warriors, who they traded for last year, and Jalen Duren, who I really like. Will they make any sort of a splash? Is the needle moving a little bit there, Jeff?
Yeah, for everything you said, I have them as a riser. Plus, they added Monty Williams as a coach, which is an improvement. So I've got them. Yep. Yeah, I've got them rising. They were fun when healthy, but they just haven't been healthy. I really like Cade. Cade is a guy that a lot of people haven't seen play. They know the name because he was the first pick in the draft, but they haven't really seen him play. He can play. You know what I mean? He just needs to be healthy. He's got more pieces to work with, and he's got a coach that can help him get better. So I've got them as risers for sure. I've got them potentially as a play-in team. So they're a riser.
Oh, for sure. I agree. I mean, you can only go. There's only one way you can go when you suck so bad last season, and that's up. I got him winning more than 20 games this season for sure. So somewhat of a riser. Let's see what Cade can do, though. I haven't really. What is this going to be? His third year, right? Mm-hmm. Third season coming in. So this is the one where he has to type of make a name for himself, right? Make sure that he proves that he's worth that first overall pick. So yeah, for sure, riser. Like I said, I like the pieces there. They got rid of guys they weren't really utilizing properly, Jeremy Grant, and stuff like that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Talking about Jeremy Grant, right? Talking about Jeremy Grant, the final team we're gonna break down here tonight, man. It's the team that Jeff likes.
Portland.
Oh man, we save the best for last. So yeah, the Portland Trail Blazers, man. Obviously, they drafted one of my favorite young players in Scoot Henderson. Chris Murray as well could be one of the steals of the draft. But they have that lingering problem, which is Damian Lillard, Mr. Full of Shit himself. Talk to me, Jeff, and try to be as nice as possible, man. The last thing we need is
I love Portland. I love Portland. I love tents and smoking skies and craft beer and
shit.
I love program. I love needles all over the ground. Like I love Portland, man. Portland. No, but I will say this, and this is why I'm kind of making of it. The true people of Portland and the people that lived there a long time, like. This is not your fault. Portland was a beautiful city. Beautiful city. The reason I talk so much trash about it is because people that lived in Portland their whole life will say the same thing. Something happened to their city around the pandemic, and it just probably will never be the same, and it sucks. They need to do something and save that city because I know it's funny and it's joking. I play around a lot, and I'm talking about the state of Portland, not the people of Portland, because the real people of Portland, they hate it just as much as I do because that place is a shit show right now, and they let it get way out of hand. So outside of that, shout out to the real people of Portland. Stay safe out there. Dame is still full of shit, and your city is full of shit right now. But go ahead. Sorry, I had to.
No, I love it. I love it, man. The passion when you talk about Portland, man. Let me tell you something, Jeff. I would vote for you as mayor of Portland, brother, because you seem like you have the right, mind capacity to take over that city and lead it into the right direction. Now, Damian Lillard, is he a Portland Trailblazer by the time training camp rolls around?
Training camp?
It's coming up. It's coming up.
Yeah. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no.
Last minute knee-jerk reaction trade?
I think that, Philly and Harden and Portland and Dame, it is the same request, but it's not the same situation, right? It's a trade demand, but it's not the same situation.
Right.
So I think at the end of it, I think Portland is struggling to pull the trigger to send him somewhere that because apparently it's only Miami, right? So I think Portland is struggling with the idea of sending him elsewhere, and I don't think those other teams are going to make their best offer unless they know Portland is willing to negotiate in good faith. I think as you get a week before media day / training camp, because like a day apart, I think they'll be like, you'll get that "Hey stranger" text. you know, it's like, oh God, I've heard from this person in a while. I think they will talk with some teams to see how comfortable they are about getting Dame, other than Miami, to see how comfortable they are with training for him and what the offers would be. I think it'll be quiet, a handful of teams. And then I think 48 hours or so before training camp, I think things will get serious. They'll know if they've got real other options or not. And then if not, they may just do the Miami thing. I know they don't want to, but it just makes no sense to go into the season with them. So, sorry, it's a longer answer, but I think he gets moved before training camp, and the Harden one is the difficult one. The Dame, I think in the end, they both want to end well. They do. They didn't. This is why neither one of them wanted to do it publicly, because they didn't want it to be this. But now it's this because they didn't do it amicably. If they would have just came out like a couple that decided and said mutual decision, like where we're still the best of friends. That BS that always gets said. Just united front, right? Portland, just a united like front. Like it would have been a lot better. But because he let them sign Jeremy Grant, man, like you can't do that, bro. That's like dumping your fiance and bringing the side dish to dinner when you tell her.
Oh my goodness,
like you know what I mean? Like he did. Dame did that wrong. So Portland's got to hold their and real quick. This is not the GM and Paul Allen. This is not the same organization that he was loyal to. He is not. They're new. He's new to them. So they are different. They've got to worry about their future. He's their past. Right. And this isn't the ownership group that he was loyal to. Like I know it partially is, but it's really not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a brand new ownership. So it's
different scenario.
You know what? To answer my own question, I think they're going to be risers once they trade Damian Lillard. I love the young talent. Depending on what they bring back, they got Scoot there, they got Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simmons. Depending on what they add there, I think they're going to be a fun team to watch. Obviously, they're not going to sell as many tickets as when they had Dame. Those years are over, but I feel like Portland does a good job of replenishing talent, right? They had Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge before, so they had Bonzi Wells and Scottie Pippen and, et cetera before. They always do a good job, and because they're definitely not a primary landing destination free agency, but they draft well. And I think they got lucky that this year's draft, that the Michael Jordan was still at the helm, because he gifted them a young star, in my belief. I think it's going to be even a superstar in Scoot Henderson. Yeah. And they starting that rebuild the right way with a replacement guard right off the top. And so I cannot wait to see what that team becomes once they trade Damian Lillard. I also can't wait to see where Damian Lillard gets traded to and what that team becomes, because this is going to be one of those things where I think this trade is going to benefit both parties.
Yeah, shift the league.
Yeah, and then they get rid of all the bad residue from having Dame on there, and the other team, they get a new, motivated star. So
no, I agree with you. I think Portland will be a riser because they'll be deeper, and Dame misses a lot of games. I think people forget he's hurt a lot. So you'll have a full roster, you'll have more depth, and maybe you get someone. Hey, maybe you find someone who likes camping on public streets in front of police stations. Maybe they like that. Maybe that's their thing. So outside of that, no, I think they will be risers once they make the move, and they could change someone else's from pretender to potentially contender depending on where he lands. That's right. I think they could be risers. That's a good take.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I forget Jeremy Grant is still there, but maybe he gets moved
for now.
Well.
For now,
yeah,
for now.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
His contract won't be too bad in a year. He out of there
for surely, man. But that's gonna wrap it up for our video, guys. Almost 2 hours, man. This is the longest one I've done in a long time. My computer's begging for mercy right now. Man. It's like, the smoke is coming out, man. It's like
it's like Portland. Sorry.
Oh my goodness, there you go. I was waiting for you to say it, man. But that wraps it up for us. Thanks so much to Empire Jeff for joining me today, making this video so much more enjoyable. than to do it by myself. And to everybody who participated in the comment section, man, you guys are awesome. You guys were here for the majority of the 2 hours, and we truly appreciate you. Again, go subscribe to my brother, man. Go ahead and plug yourself on, bro.
Yeah, if you're on Twitter /X, whatever they call it now, at EmpireJeff _ on YouTube, please go check out your boy. I'm trying to get that thing going. I'm trying to build a community. Shout out to everybody in this chat. I see you guys there all the time. So salute. So tell your friends. I'm always saying, tell your friends and tell a friend. It's Jeff again. Go over there, EmpireJeff TV. Trust me, I think you're gonna like what you hear. And I think you're gonna want to subscribe. I think you're gonna want to tune in. Dan's gonna be over there very shortly. We got a couple episodes cooking up.
Yes.
I got some really good ones coming, and I'm gonna break down some stuff that are some false narratives around the history of the game and some of the stories that people are blaming the wrong villains in, which is gonna be real fun. So EmpireJeff TV on YouTube. Give your boy a subscribe. Follow me over there, and you'll be seeing me obviously a lot more here with Dan on Around the League as the season starts. I'm excited for that. This is one of my favorite places to be in the world. So Dan's channel
too,
like
man. It's
Laker Disneyland over here. Yeah. So shout out to you guys in the chat. You guys are the best in the business. I see you guys. I feel like everywhere I'm at, I see you guys. You guys are supporting Dan heavy and supporting myself. So thank you. And check out your boy EmpireJeff TV, please.
Man, listen, we got a lot planned up coming up for the season, both individually and collectively. So make sure you guys do tap into both of us and everybody else who comes on Around the League, man. Show love. Now, I'll say this really quick. I was gonna say, oh my God, my train of thought just came and went. I completely forgot what I was going to say. I had something very important at the top. Okay, the season's around the corner. Okay, we know that. Make sure to hit that sub button, man, if you guys already haven't, and turn on them post notifications. You're not going to want to miss. Like today's episode was just out of the blue, man. I was just like, okay, it's a perfect idea. Let me hit up Jeff, see if he wants to join me, and it worked out, man. So thank you guys so much for tapping in. And again, show love, guys. I will see you guys here on the next one. Appreciate you all. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Hit up Prize Picks. Bye, Portland.
Oh.